Welcome to Chiefs Weekly Chat. I am your host, Owen, and this week we have a story from Mr. Mann. He is telling us about a flaming rat. We also have an interview with the drum majors. And for our first segment of today, we're going into the life of Sequoia.
All right, so today we are interviewing the drum majors. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure.
I'm Ethan. I'm the youngest. I'm the junior. They're old.
I'm Kate, and I'm a senior.
I'm Maya, and I'm also a senior.
Okay, so what inspired you guys to join marching band in the first place?
I'm not gonna lie. My mother was kind of like, do it. So I did, and then my friends kind of bullied me into staying in. I ended up falling in love with it. So.
Yeah, well, for me, my mom was in band in high school. She was also a drum major, actually. So she kind of was like, you should do it in 6th grade, and then I just kind of stuck around.
I personally don't really have any musicians in my family, but I've always kind of loved music and the arts. So going into marching band, it was just kind of like meant to be. Doing band in middle school, I loved. So then just like taking that the next step was just really fun and felt right to do.
Friday night football, everyone thinks about the football players and all the student section, but I think one of the really undermined highlights of the whole thing is the halftime shows you guys perform. So really, what goes into making the halftime show what it is?
A lot of sweat and tears.
It is a lot of work. We practice all summer. Band camp, it's 13-hour days for 5 days in a row. And then, of course, we have practices 3 times a week, Friday games, Saturday camps. It is a lot of work, and we all just have to kind of keep each other together in order for it to get done. But it's all worth it in the end, for sure.
And bouncing off of that, I feel like not only is it physically draining, but it can also be very mentally draining, because when you're doing the same thing every day, you get so tired of it. But once you get to that end product and really be able to put on a full show, it's so worth it.
That's where loving what you do really comes in, because you're not gonna have the mental stamina to put up with all the time stress that it puts on you, the relationship stress, balancing everything. But it really is worth it if you love it.
What are some obstacles that you had to overcome throughout this season?
We kind of touched on the mental bit, but it was definitely, all of us are new to being drum majors, so it was a lot of stress that was put on us very early, and we didn't really have a teacher at that point because our old drum major tech ended up moving. So it was kind of a...
Yeah. And just a lot of pressure, because any mistake you make can hinder the success of the band. So it's just a lot of pressure knowing you're the person up there that's kind of, in charge, moving your hands. So
I think, definitely pressure's hard, but in general with marching band, past 4 years I've done it, managing and having time management skills is really important to have, because it's hard to come home from practice and be drained and then do homework and have time with family. So I think the biggest part is just figuring out what works for you and the right routine and managing time so you're not going insane.
Part of it is also it just takes up so much of your life that especially once it ends, you're kind of what do I do with myself?
yeah, and it's just kind of if you didn't you don't have time to deal with anything. Your homework's pushed to the back burner, even emotions are pushed to the back burner, and all of a sudden it ends, and you're oh, I have to do and feel all these things. It's a lot.
You just kind of got to balance it.
Yeah.
And so how has marching band changed your life?
I feel it's given me my circle of friends. Even though maybe that circle has changed throughout the years, I feel I've always, in middle school, I felt I really didn't have consistent friends, and band has given me consistent people that just love me and want to be around me and care for me.
It's taught me how important a good work ethic is. I think now that I've done marching band, I have a lot of self-discipline, and I know that in order to get something, you have to work for it, and it's not just going to come easy to you, and there are going to be times where you're going to question, your credibility. I'm sure we all had a pretty bad imposter syndrome this year, but just being able to understand that I've done something great is just really nice to know, and being a part of a band that's so great is great. So I feel I'm very blessed, and I feel very happy to be here.
I feel it's kind of taught me how to be thrown into a deep end and start swimming. A lot of it's just you don't have time to think, you just have to react the best way that you can, and it's also kind of taught me to be humble, kind of be a little less arrogant with some stuff.
I also feel it's taught me confidence. I came into my freshman year very unconfident and not confident in my playing abilities or anything I can do. And especially this year, being drum major has really taught me that you can't do anything without confidence. Even if you have to fake it, confidence is a thing that's going to help you.
I got you. So do you guys have plans on continuing to participate in marching band in the future?
I don't. personally. I think music is really important to like stay involved in, but probably not marching band.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I think I want to continue music in some form, but it really depends on where I go. But right now, for me, it's not looking like doing marching band as much as I love it.
So again, I'm kind of the black sheep. I've still got another year left of it, so ideally, I think I'm going to go for drum major again next year. And also after that, there's professional marching bands like DCI and stuff where you actually have to go and audition for it. And then there's a bunch of things, but I'd really like to do that after high school if I'm able to get in. So.
And then what would you tell others who may be interested in joining marching band?
Do it, make time and do it. Throw away your homework, but do it.
Do it if you love it and you can balance it. If it's not something that you can really, because you're having to show up every day and you don't really get to have a bad attitude with it, because at the end of the day, your bad attitude can affect how hundreds of people, like it's what, 200-person band? Like,
yeah, it is a team effort. Like, you can't hide in marching band. Like, there will be a judge that signals you out if you don't do great, but that just shows how like people have to kind of come together in marching band, and it creates like a sense of like belonging and unity with like 100 people. Like, where else are you going to get that kind of like closeness with like random people at a high school? I think it's really important to like have a place in like high school and like be able to feel like you're welcome there. And I know that marching band definitely is a good place to go if you need that.
Yeah, and also my big thing is just don't be afraid to try and put yourself out there. Try a new instrument. Try something you never thought you'd do. Because, I mean, marching band has opened a lot of doors for me and opportunities, and I think it's a really good way to just have new opportunities in school to make new friends and try new things.
and at the end of the day, it is a lot, but it definitely does create that family environment, especially when you're showing up with these people day in, day out. Like, when you really look at how many hours you put into this, and especially the seniors who are graduating, like 4 years of their lives, they have devoted to showing up, and it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. And
It's worth it.
it really
Yeah.
is. Like, when you're standing on that field and you've got thousands of people in the stands cheering for you, not only at just the halftime shows, but also when we go to competitions, because we're a competitive band, and just, it really is this feeling of accomplishment. Like, we did this, we created something like this. So.
And then finally, what is your favorite marching band memory?
Ethan, go
There's a
first.
bunch.
That's good.
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's hard to pick one, and I really haven't had the time to just sift through that. There's the stuff that we do as a concert band that I really liked. GMEA, our top band, went last year. It was like a very, very big music thing, like statewide, and that was awesome, but also just cracking up in the stands. You know, like I said, you're showing up day in, day out with these people, so you get to see all the sides.
forms. all the good and bad and the ugly.
But it is,
Some ugly.
Yeah.
it's a funny bonding experience, and there's a lot of humor and just kind of friendship that comes from it. So I'd say that's a really big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, it's, especially this year, so we went to 2 competitions, and the last time we had won a competition was our freshman year, so it was something we really wanted to happen this year, and I was kind of nervous it would, and I had a lot of self-doubt going in, so I was like, I don't want to be the reason we don't win, so I was really afraid of that. Well, we ended up getting 2 grand championships, and that just really meant a lot to me, knowing how much work we all put in. And then also, there's been a lot of fun trips we've been on. We've been to Chicago this year, and Disney and Universal last year, and a lot of goofy moments on those trips.
Like, there's just so many like inside jokes. Like, just it's a lot. It's been a lot of fun, and I think that the best part is just the people. I love like emphasizing like investing time into other people and like making sure that people know that they're wanted. Like, cause it's hard to like be in like a high position, and it feels alone sometimes. But I know that like being like a drum major has just really made me realize how much people are there for you. Like, people are there for you more than you think they are, and just like, I guess just being able to like say hi to like a bunch of kids in the hallway that I wouldn't be able to before this has been like definitely the best part of the experience.
So, all in all, like, our favorite memory is marching band.
Yeah, like all aspects. Like, the music's fun, the people are cool, that work is hard, but like you get so much more out of it than you'd expect. So
It's hard to just single out one spot.
Yeah.
we hashtag about marching band. So
That was the Drum Majors. And now we go to Life of Man, where we try to figure out if Mr. Man's story is true or completely fabricated.
Probably one of the stories everybody loves to hear is the flaming rat. So picture this. Several years ago, I lived across the street from the school. It was my first home, And on the back, we had a little screen porch, and it was where we liked to go in the evening because it was away from traffic. It was nice and quiet. And so after living there a few years, we bought a hot tub. It was one of my kids' favorite things in the world to do. Well, one evening, it was dark. It was nice and quiet. It was peaceful. It was about this time of year, so it was a little bit cool outside. And my wife and I were in the hot tub out behind the house. And we heard this rustling noise, like a scratching kind of noise outside. And my wife said, something's up, something's out there. I think it's an animal. She was afraid of it. So she asked me to get out of the hot tub and turn on the lights. Well, it was cold outside. And I didn't want to get out of the hot tub because I was wet. I didn't want to get out and get cold. So I said, honey, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. But you know, we live out in the country. There's always animals out there. You never know what's out in the backyard. So I said, no, you turn on the lights. And so we kind of bantered back and forth about who was going to turn on the lights. Well, anyway, I'm an engineer. I thought, why not just solve the problem without getting out of the hot tub? And on that back porch was a grill. So I reached over the edge of the hot tub, and I clicked the gas. I turned on the gas on the propane grill, fired up the grill, and you know, most grills have that glass door that you can see the food process there, cooking inside. And so when I turned on the heat, it flamed up, and a rat hit that window like on fire. So I actually lit the rat on fire. He had apparently gone in the grill to eat some leftover food that I had not cleaned off the grill. Look, we live out in the country. Everybody has rats. Don't judge. So the flaming rat hits the window, startles me. I turn to check on my wife, and all I see is a vapor trail of water as she has levitated and exited the building. She screams, runs in the house, doesn't turn on the light though. So now I'm outside in the dark with a rat who is partially burned and angry. So I jump up and I stand to look over the side, and you know, in a hot tub, you have a little thermometer floating around. Well, ours was a duck. And when that duck floated over and hit my leg, I thought the flaming rat had attacked me. So I levitated out of the water, jumped out of the hot tub, and reached for any weapon I could find, and all I could find was a rake. So now, picture this. It's pitch dark. I'm standing there like Aquaman with my trident, which is just a yard rake, trying to spear a flaming rat, which has escaped. Long story short, after looking all evening, I finally gave up, went to bed. The next morning, as I was getting ready to go to school, I walked into my basement, and there was the poor flaming rat. He had passed during the night, and he was partially melted. And I felt really guilty because I in no way intended to burn the rat. It was more, I just needed to see what was out there. So, moral to the story, be cautious of a flaming rat.
Now we go to Mrs. Mann's side of the story. So we just heard from your husband, Mr. Mann, that there's a story about a flaming rat that was caught on the grill and he found the next morning. Can you confirm that this story happened?
This did indeed happen. Yes.
Okay. Is there any details you want to tell us about this that you remember happening?
Yes, so we were in the hot tub and it was late at night, and Mr. Mann went, I thought it was to check the time. And he decided that instead of getting out of the hot tub that he was just going to turn on the gas grill. And it was an old-fashioned grill that had a glass door on the front. And when he turned the grill on, a rat was slammed into the, into the glass. I got out very quickly.
Now, due to multiple sources, we can confirm that this story is terrifyingly true. Thank you for listening in to the premiere episode of Chiefs Weekly Chat. I've been your host, Owen. Please subscribe to Chiefs TV and tune in next time for episode 2.